Hi, it's me, the diseased junkie of classical music. My favorite musical is Rent. If you watch any other videos on this channel, you know I tend to prefer shows with rock or pop-ish soundtracks. And Rent really has everything you need. You know, tragic backstory, Jonathan Larson died right before its first performance. It's got drugs, sex, AIDS, fun for the whole family. If you're also into musical theater, you know that every once in a while, some exec at a big broadcasting company gets the super bright idea of doing a televised performance of a musical. This has happened with Peter Pan, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Rent. I think those are the three. I don't think I'm missing any. Basically, they do a live broadcast of some super big budget set with a bunch of really recognizable actors. Normally they're fun just to watch and laugh at while you get intoxicated or do other things. However, I have a personal score to settle with Rent Live because around the time that Rent Live came out and its soundtrack was released on Spotify, the original Broadway recording of Rent mysteriously disappeared from Spotify. And that pissed me the fuck off, so now everyone gets to behold my rage. Also, holy shit, that's Valencia from Drag Race as Angel. It's a shame that this is kind of a bad production because Valencia makes a great Angel. Also, Jordan Fisher is Mark, and that's cool, I guess. Jordan Fisher seems to be getting every role under the sun lately, but I don't know. He kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm not sure I like his vibe. Part 1. The irony of Rent Live. If you for some reason haven't seen Rent, it's about a bunch of starving artists protesting the capitalist world around them. Jonathan Larson himself was pretty dirt poor living in New York and had some socialist-leaning political views. So the show essentially makes the argument that art is at its most authentic when it doesn't come with massive amounts of wealth. The two main characters of Rent, Mark and Roger, protest their friend Benny from starting a new cyber studio with the newest technologies and Diet Coke and shit. And Jonathan Larson definitely identified with the bohemian life. That is, it's better to be poor and authentic than it is to sell out and get massive amounts of wealth. That being said, it is immediately very ironic that Fox, a massive corporate broadcasting network, decided that they wanted to put on Rent. It's basically the wealthy elite co-opting art made by the poor. One way that Rent the musical makes its argument is by having a very minimalist approach to how it is performed. The show starts with the house lights still on, and to me that kind of gives it a very down-to-earth vibe. Like, it rejects formalities and precedent when it comes to theater. The set is very minimalist, but it gets the job done. And how the band is at most 5 people. All this really drives home that bohemian life that Jonathan Larson was trying to portray in his musical. And of course, Fox fucked up every bit of that. Fox very much had the philosophy that less is not more is more when it came to Rent Live. For example, they went from this minimalist set to this massive 360-degree set that had like multiple different rooms. It was like a bunch of different sets on the same stage. And that's so fucking dumb, because imagine you're on the song I'll Cover You and Collins and Angel are singing on the playground, but you're in the audience facing the apartment, so you're just looking at a fucking wall while Collins and Angel are singing, and you're just hearing them muffled from the other side of the wall. And they changed the costumes. While Rent was in development on Broadway, basically how they came up with the costumes was they just had the actors come in with their own personal clothes, and whenever the costume designer saw something that they liked, they would tell the actor to keep wearing that, and that would be the character's costume. So remember, bohemian, no crazy costumes, it's literally the actor's own personal wardrobe. In Rent Live, not only do they change the costumes, but they at one point make fun of the original costume. Maybe this is just a little thing to get pissed off about, but it shows a very deep misunderstanding of the purpose that Rent serves and the methods that are used to achieve that purpose. Rent was never supposed to be this big $1 million production with elaborate sets and special effects and crazy costumes and shit. that is literally antithetical to the actual purpose that Rent has. Part 2, the music. For the most part, the music is the same as the Broadway recording of Rent. They did make some changes. One of them I actually like. It's this little harmonic thing that the guitar does in the title song. This other one I fucking hate. It's in the song Life Support. The lyric in this song is, Reason says I should have died 3 years ago.
Because reason says I should have died 3 years ago.
In Rent Live, they changed the lyric to I should have died 6 months ago.
I should have died 6 months ago.
This song is about people struggling to live when they know that they're dying of AIDS. And so this line is basically people who have contracted AIDS saying they should have died 3 years ago, but they're still alive and they're having a hard time coping with that. And it really baffles me why Fox changed it to 6 months ago. The best reason why I can think of is that they just didn't find it believable that someone could live for 3 years after they were expected to die. But that whole song is based on Jonathan Larson's own experience. The names that they say at the beginning of the song, the people in the life support group introducing themselves, you know, like Pam, Sue, Gordon, those were all real people. They are the real names of Jonathan Larson's friends who had AIDS.
Gordon.
Allie. Pam. Lisa.
You know, like Allie died, Gordon died, Pam died.
So it is not at all far off to say that Jonathan Larson probably knew someone who lived 3 years past when they were expected to die. I honestly don't even know why you would feel the need to change that. I imagine you'd have to jump through some hoops to literally change a line of the fucking song. And maybe they did have some reason for doing so that is valid. I don't know, and honestly I don't care. It's more fun to shit on them. And I don't really think that there is any good justification for changing that line, given that it probably had some real life equivalent to a real person. Also, they crowd surf at one point. A lot of people complained about that, but I don't really care. I feel like it's not too out of character for Rent. Part 3, the tragedy which befell Rent Live. So this part's kind of fucking hilarious. If you didn't know, what was supposed to happen is they were supposed to televise the performance of Rent live, just like they did with Peter Pan Live and Jesus Christ Superstar Live. But unfortunately, on the rehearsal before that live performance, the actor who played Roger fucking broke his ankle. He broke his ankle during the rehearsal. And I guess you can't really have a performance of Rent where Roger has a broken ankle because they're all like running around and jumping and shit. So Fox opted to just televise that rehearsal, pre-recorded, not live, rather than do a live performance. Which means, one, Rent Live wasn't really live. It was Rent like 2 days ago. And two, it means that everyone was half-assing their performance. It was like if in Peter Pan Live, every actor was Christopher Walken. The vocals are shitty because no one's even trying to hit their note right. They're like half on vocal rest. The acting is shitty because everyone's just trying to conserve their energy for the main performance. And you have to imagine how bad that poor actor who played Roger feels, that he fucked up the entire show because he broke his ankle. If anything, I don't blame him. I don't think it's his fault. I think this is divine punishment for the hell on earth that is Rent Live. So, you know, I hope he doesn't feel bad about it or anything. This is honestly the best possible outcome. So to summarize, Rent Live just doesn't fucking understand the show that it's trying to portray. It's kind of like the movie adaptation of most musicals, like Cats, where it's just a bunch of fucking bureaucratic assholes who have too much money to care. And they do something that in their minds is going to be revolutionary and the people are going to go crazy for it, but it is actually the worst thing you've ever seen. If anything, Rent Live does prove Jonathan Larson's point pretty well, that art is more authentic the less money is involved. Because I feel like pretty much anyone would rather watch the real show written by some poor dude in New York rather than Rent Live when, you know, so much fucking money was dumped into it. Anyways, feel free to comment if there are any other shows that you want me to report on. Thank you and break legs.